And ladies and gentlemen, we are into Champ Select. Sam Houston State University White versus the UHD Gators JV. As we wait for the first round of ends to come out, and it is going to be that Hecarim taken off the board immediately. Sam Houston not willing to let the UHD team go ahead and walk away with that one. Hecarim, a champion that we've seen a little bit less of after the nerfs to Yumi, after the nerfs to the healing items. So, but does still have a lot of flexibility in terms of map movement, does have a lot of capability in the team fight. A little bit weaker in the early game, but not something that we've been seeing a lot of. So interesting to see that Sam Houston have taken that away. Obviously going to be a takeaway from That Was Random. Just waiting to see the first ban there. Shen going to come through, so denial away from Texas A. So I think from UHD right now, just early looking in, they want to try and deny any of the flexibility that Sam Houston are going to have across the map in terms of mid to late game playmaking. So obviously having Shin as a split pusher, and then obviously having him for team fights, he can activate that Stand United, protect a carry that's maybe getting jumped on, and be this sort of anti-ganking champion that we've seen Sam Houston sort of leverage in various ways. Is Volibear, Lux, and Ari going to be the takeaway there. That Ari, a dual ban away from Lyros and away from Puppy Cat. Eventually. And then Ari, obviously, just the denial away from Puppy Cat. A standout champion, so fully expected that to be denied away there. Jen going to be the takeaway from Zodiac as well. So going fairly to expectations so far. Again, I didn't expect Zodiac to get the Jhin just because that's one of his most played champions. Is top lane going to be locked in here for both of these teams? So it does look like we're just going to go ahead and pick to order. Much sadness. But so Muna going to be the adoption there for Texas A. This is a champion that we have actually seen him struggle on. This is a champion that mostly just absorbs punishment, does play the weak side. But I think a champion that, mostly speaking, we haven't necessarily seen some standout performances on. So interested to see how Texas A is going to navigate that top lane matchup, and if he can, maybe find a way to get ahead. Obviously going to be very difficult to do against this sort of bully Aatrox matchup there. There's the final picks there. Trundle, LeBlanc, Zinhao, Vex. So not quite a lot of team fighting here. Not a lot of reliable CC for either of these teams for the time being. Obviously, Trundle Pillar's not necessarily going to give you a tremendous amount of lockdown. LeBlanc chain's temporary, but not necessarily the most reliable. But if you're looking also on the side of Sam Houston, they have yet to actually give themselves some hard point-click CC in which they can start to kick off some of these team fights. So interested to see how the draft is going to round out there and what these teams are going to do, what they're going to prioritize in terms of their drafts. Maybe UHD starts to look at a little bit of an enchanter, because if you throw a Lulu behind that Trundle, behind that Aatrox, you have quite a bit of survivability, a lot of bit of longevity, and sort of a slower team fight. And obviously your ability to take objectives becomes a little bit easier. Misfortune on the board now. Not a champion that we've seen a lot of after the nerfs. Obviously is going to be trying to round out a little bit more of that team fighting. The Ivern Hover, I would like to see it. I don't expect that we would ever see it in the mid lane. Vex obviously sometimes being played in solo queue in that support role, but not going to happen here. So Jinx going to be locked in for Zodiac here, and I like the Renata pick. Answered. Okay, this draft just got a whole lot more interesting, because one of the difficulties that people have been having with Renata is that she is an excellent answer to almost every enchanter, with the exception of one, Seraphine, because their ultimates and their kits work fairly similarly in terms of how they set up team fighting and in terms of how they set up specific champions in 1v1 engagements or 1v2 or even 2v2 engagements. Seraphine is a very, very obnoxious champion to deal with in the late game because of the amount of healing and the speed ups that she gives team-wide, both in sort of long-form engagement opportunities, but also in some of the, I guess you could say, big team fights. You don't see a lot of big team fighting with Seraphine just because normally they're going individual picks there. The Renata pick up there, though, for Sam Houston. I'm liking more of this champion as I see it. I was very, very kind of hot and cold at Renata when she came out originally, just because I felt this was a champion that, the ult's great, being able to force an enemy team to fight each other, before a team actually starts a team fight is interesting, but Renata, I think, kind of struggles with survivability, because the only way to actually make use of the passive she has on the W, or the WDE, is to actually get a kill, right? And that's one of the most difficult things for a team to do for a Renata to do when the team has absolutely just been exploded. Most importantly, I think, for both of these teams, though, looking big picture, is the sheer lack of engage on both of these teams. This isn't necessarily a knock, but it means that there is going to be a high level of onus for execution for both of these teams, because you don't have something like a Leona or a Nautilus to get you started off. You don't have, something like a Lux to sort of land some of those light trips. You don't have a Thresh. You don't have really any of that committal CC. You don't have a Scion, that does have that sort of, straight line CC that comes not only just off of his ultimate, but also just off of the Q. So it's going to be a challenge, I think, for both these teams to find a reliable form of engage. For Sam Houston, your best bet is likely going to be trying to stack something on top of Renata ult and really just look to hit health bars. You're not necessarily looking to try and lock somebody down in terms of CC. You're just looking to set up the Jinx and the Vex, right? You're looking for long form engagement with Vex flying over a wall if she hits ultimate. You're looking to get Jinx a reset so that way she can just start smashing rockets through and win the team fight. I mean, Zenhao is going to be one of your primary engagers on an individual target if he can hit Wind Becomes Lightning, but it is a high amount of skill expression that's going to be required to get some of these team fights, really started off. And the same thing goes for this UHD squad. If you're looking at this Aatrox, this Trundle, right, you do have Pillar, but that's not necessarily sort of reliable unless you can pin somebody, more or less next to a wall. Misfortune having ultimate, but again, no CC to set up. The bullet time. You don't have an Nautilus ulti to knock everybody up. You don't have an Alistar. You don't have any of that. So it's going to be difficult, I think, for them to find these sort of all-in-one engages where they can just wipe a whole team unless they're just going after low health bars. So interested to see how both of these teams are going to navigate that. I would think on the whole of it, team fight-wise, I would probably say that Sam Houston's better off solely because they have the Jinx, because the Jinx is the better hyperscale late-game carry. But that Misfortune, if there's low health bars, if they can manage to slow enough members, if they can manage to find a tricky pillar, there is ways for this UHD squad to start this off, especially with Aatrox, who's a great team fighter, sort of in that early-ish, mid-ish late game. Now, once he gets to late game, he'll struggle, but again, just a lot of questions to be asked and answered about how these teams are going to play. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, and we are on to the rift for Sam Houston State University versus UHD Gators, as it was just a bug with the load-in on the client. We're seeing both these teams going to go ahead and run out onto the rift, so we haven't actually missed anything. That's good news for all of us and all of you to watch this game. Remember, just as a reminder, the stakes in this game, both these teams 4-1, sitting behind that UI team, that University of Ohio team that is undefeated thus far. Interested to see how their games will turn out tonight. But a lot riding here for them, as it's going to be better seeding in a potential playoff scenario and a better chance to maybe get a contention with that UI team if there is a tiebreaker that needs to be played if somehow they do drop a game either this week or next week. So we're interested to see how both these teams will navigate a scenario like that. But right now, focusing on the game ahead, Sam Houston, just a fairly standard start for both of these junglers, but it is going to be a reverse start, though, so just opposite sides there. As Trundle starting off that red buff. Zenhao just now moving up to the blue. As Anbio going to get rooted up right there. So I think one of the things that is going to be interesting for Sam Houston right now with having the Jinx is that even though this Misfortune is not necessarily as strong as she used to be, you're looking 3-4 patches ago where a lot of players were taking Comet and taking movement speed just for the AP that she had. She does still have great early game trading just with the double up. That Q is a tremendously powerful ability to chunk champions down early on to that bot lane and just put pressure on, even a support player. So, Lyra's obviously not going to have a lot of health there. She's going to get rooted up. Just trading back and forth in that bot lane. And that very, very brief glimpse that we got of that top lane sort of trade right there between the Aatrox and between the Mundos, something I expect is that has 3. Trundle Pill is going to come down. Puppy Cat going to land the fear. Is ticking. One more auto will do it, though. First blood for LeBlanc. Not able to trade back for Puppy Cat, so UHD trying to get on the board early here. Zenhao wrapping around onto Sea Dragon. Can he manage to find his way out of this one? Was going to be forced to blow the flash there on the top lane. Dragonx, though, could get this one more auto, but get the knock-up. Sea Dragon does not have flash. No one waiting in that river to help him, but is just going to get away with his life. And so UHD making early use of the tempo that Random was able to get just by starting in that top side, quickly grabbing those Krugs, and then has now made his way into that bot lane. So likely going to be both scuttles, I think, going the way of that was Random, just because Zinhao not necessarily going to know where the Trundle started based off that timing because he could have started in the bot lane. Ambo going to be forced to flash out, though. Sam Houston looking not going to be able to find anything, though. Just be happy to get that trade there. Just a summoner. Something that they could potentially draw Draganks down to with that Zinhao. But Random, he wants something else to happen here. He's wrapping around here in Sam Houston. Still, all the summoners available for them is going to be rooted up. Pillared, Lyros not going to be forced to blow the flash right now, so just going to be a couple of autos. The rocket going into the back of the Trundle there. Puppycat does have the health lead right there. Chain's not going to land. Texas trying to walk out of this one. Does break the chain, but is so low health. Draganks going to land on this one. Flash still available for Random. Is going to hit. The wind becomes lightning. No knockup yet. Forced flash out. Good respect shown by the UHD jungler. Knew that if that last auto did hit, he was going to be knocked up and would have been killed, especially with Puppycat waiting in the wings. No ignite, but just between the raw damage that they had would have been more than enough to knock him down. So, good respect shown. And good job not giving the lead back over to Sam Houston. And I think if you are this UHD squad, this is what you're going to have to continue doing. Just continue to move this Trundle around the map. Try and find ganks wherever you can. Set it up with the pillar. Blow flashes. Because it does feel like if champions do have access to their summoners, it is a little bit difficult for Trundle to sort of lock them down. So you are really just waiting for an overextension by some of these Sam Houston members to just wrap around on them and then force them to blow Summoner to live. Because there is some setup there between Only and between Ambo. And to set that up, Random going to get spotted out here, though. Sam Houston might favor this fight. No flash onto the Trundle. And becomes Lightning Jump in, so not going to be able to re-engage after that. LeBlanc making her way down. Dark Shadow shoved the wave and then just responded to the pressure that Sam Houston was trying to levy. Neither team looking to go for Dragon right now, so it is going to be the reset from both the junglers. I think that's an objective that we're going to start to see those two fight for here in just a short amount of time, to be honest with you, because that is an Infernal Dragon. It's both on great. It's great on both of these comps, and is something that you can use not only to just offset the early gold being given to Dark Shadow on that LeBlanc, but also can help you sort of start to maneuver around the map and give you a little bit of extra damage to take some of these early game trades that, you know, maybe you're not able to take without it just because of the nature of your champions, especially on that Jinx who does take times. Texas A has access to the ultimate right here. Ignite going down onto him, though. So Sea Dragon now ticking over to 6, so Texas A going to be forced out of this lane and might need to back. Sea Dragon could drive that, doesn't have access to the Ignite, but wouldn't need it. So, yeah, we're going to see the reset come out for Texas A there. And I think a good attempt to try and take a trade there to try and force Aatrox off the way. Knew that he was going to tick over to 6 soon, but just not able to get a good enough a trade to knock the health bar low enough to either force Aatrox away or to even kill him. And so, obviously, Aatrox with access to that ultimate is going to be very difficult to knock down now, as Iron Spike Whip already coming out for him, so more early game team fighting already online. Puppycat going to get pillared up again. Just going to walk away from that one, though. Now, this is a level lead for Random, so if LeBlanc does rotate over, it could just contest the Scuttle. It's always interesting to me to see junglers fighting over Scuttle, given the state of Scuttle that, you know, doesn't really give you anything, doesn't really give you a lot of XP, doesn't really give you much gold. But still an objective that I think we see a lot of people still die to try and fight to get. And something I think that we will always see, not only in North America, but just worldwide. You know, always gotta give a good fight for that Scuttle. Dark Shadow's gonna dash out there and avoid the fear. And both ignites on both of those mid laners too, so I think Ignite probably better on the LeBlanc late game just because of the burst that she's gonna have once you get that death cap on there. Zodiac is gonna get exhausted up, not in range to hit Ambo again. Zap gonna go wide. Now he's just gonna turn on to Only Chi, who won't get himself out. Draganks is here. It's the E. Gonna flash over. Now, which one is it? Playing the guessing game. Dark Shadow making his way out through the Raptors. Just gonna try and get away here. Sam Houston opting not to chase it any farther. Texas is gonna get pulled back in. Iron Spike Whip activated. No kill just yet. Puppycat has ultimate. Gonna go in. Random doesn't have flash. Ignite's gonna go down as well, and this should just be Random dropping. Puppycat gonna get on the board. First kill of the game. Gonna be happy to pick that one up as well. Some gold going into the pocket of that Vex, so good response there from Sam Houston to get something back. And it's going to put the gold, which wasn't getting out of hand in any way, shape, or form prior to that kill, but it is going to keep it close. It's going to be within 300 gold there for Sam Houston. Is going to be compounded as well. Draganks starting up that Infernal. So will be a little bit of this lead going back towards Sam Houston now. Having the extra stats that Infernal gives you always feels nice. It's one of the best dragons in the game by far. I would say it's probably only rivaled either by Ocean or by the Hex Tech, depending on how you feel about the Hex Tech. Mountain, I think, is not necessarily one of the greatest souls unless you're running a beefier comp, which Sam Houston is not. As Tex is going to be forced to flash out of there. Conqueror proc for Sea Dragon. Yeah, just not able to stay there in that top lane at all. And this is kind of what we highlighted in that lobby when we were looking at how these teams were picking. We kind of highlighted that this is a champion that Texas A has struggled on. Yes, it is not a champion that's just going to necessarily dominate the lane. It is a champion that you pick really to kind of absorb pressure, as Flash could be forced there from Onlychi. But it's a champion that I think that is better in the late game, but it takes a long time for that champion to become relevant. And it does feel bad if you're the opposite side of this Aatrox, who just has the ability to bully you in lane, has the ability to shove out waves, and, you know, honestly can dive you under tower if they want to, if they do have help. So, you know, Texas are going to have to continue to navigate this one. Onlychi going to be forced to go to Berserk, gets grabbed back. Anbo is here now, but this is not going to be enough to save him. Onlychi heal's going to go through, but not enough to save him. Puppy Cat, going to trade in the mid lane. A bad dive by the Trundle there. Anbo going to be dropping as well. This is going to be 3 kills going the way of Sam Houston. Puppy Cat couldn't get one more. Ticking to the Ignite is going to drop, though. Not able to trade. Dark Shadow able to just dash out. So a 3 for 2 in the end, but Sam Houston going to be happy with that one. 2 kills, most importantly, going on top of that Jinx in the bot lane. So going to be feeling pretty happy about that one, as it is going to be in addition to that Noon Quiver coming through. So I should see the Kraken Slayer coming through from Zodiac. Interested to see what he'll prioritize building that second item. But for sure will be that Kraken Slayer first item. Already has the boots too, so Zodiac not in a bad spot right now. And for Sam Houston, this is exactly what you want, because Jinx, again, a champion that you don't want getting any kind of kills early, has already started to come online. And, you know, the earlier for Sam Houston that Jinx becomes this massive team fighting threat, the better they're going to feel about moving around the map and contesting for these neutral objectives. Is Sea Dragon trying to get a little bit of vision here into this jungle. Does manage to get the ward on into that brush, so gonna spot out that Dragon's just starting that blue, is gonna spot Texas A walking back into the lane. And again, that ward not spotted out here. Electrocute going down to Grey Shadow, does have the chains. It's gonna time out though. So, and just back and forth trading between multiple members of both these teams. And for this UHD squad, what I want to see them do is try and use this Herald in for the next Dragon and use it to snowball towards the bot lane. So pop that Herald either mid or in the bottom lane. It doesn't feel like you really want to use the top lane. Seeing as Sea Dragon does have such a large lead there, I think would be a waste there. So I think better to make that play towards the mid and the bot lane. And then look to set up Dark Shadow, either get a kill on Puppy Cat or just rotate towards that jungle setup. Is both junglers waiting right now. Dre knows that Random is in that bush, but Puppy Cat, I have to be careful not to step up too far. Dre will be telling Puppy Cat that the Trundle is in that bush. You're seeing a little bit of the obnoxious part of that trade there for Puppy Cat, because it's very difficult to lock any sort of damage down onto LeBlanc if she doesn't just stand still, which good LeBlanc players obviously do not. And again, we're seeing that with Dark Shadow in and out. Is E gonna hit there on top of him. Dragang's jumping in here right now, forcing the ultimate out already. Was rooted up, flash blown. Dark Shadow jumping back in, and he's gonna go ahead and collect that one. Dragang's dropping there, so in terms of this jungle pressure, Random has been exactly where he needs to be to stop any of what Dragang's wants to do. He's just not allowed this Zenhao to become relevant in this game thus far. Early activation of the Herald right now. It is going to be a play for the plates. Only going to pick up the first 2 right there, though, as the Herald's going to get popped, and then, relatively speaking, a reduced minion wave there. So I understand the timing of that play in terms of wanting to make the most of the jungler being down. Dark Shadow might drop here. Ignite ticking. No. Puppy Cat not going to be able to find that one. But I think in UHD, I think they could have afforded to be a little bit more patient there. I don't think they necessarily needed to make that play right then, because no one was dead. You have the tempo in the mid lane. Obviously, Puppy Cat's not going to be able to step up, can't look for a dive, and no one rotating through the bot lane. So you know where everyone's standing. You have vision on all the Sam Houston players. And Drag is really was only about a minute off from that play, so likely could have waited and forced Sam Houston to try and respond to that play in the mid lane and possibly look to set up an easier Dragon. Wouldn't necessarily have been free, but likely would have made that a lot easier for them to take. So, but is instead going to go ahead and get that plate gold. I think the more disappointing thing actually about that plate is not even that they made it then, but that they're not actually going to get all the plates off that mid lane turret. So that turret's actually still fairly healthy. I mean, I mean, Dragon's not going to be able to get this one here in the top lane, I think. Texas is going to try and keep him off of that one and just deny the gold there. But it does feel like a missed opportunity there for UHD to collect a little bit more gold and put it in that LeBlanc. As Sea Dragon does have access to the ultimate, does have Ignite, but ate a couple turret shots there, so health bar dropping a little bit low. So now this is the kicker here for the UHD, right? Because now that they don't actually have access to that Herald, now that they aren't able to use it to place it towards mid lane, and now that the bot lane for Sam Houston is shoving, that means that they're going to be able to contest for this Dragon. So what might have been a secure play for them, they're now not going to be able to make, because Sam Houston does have the ability to respond to this roam. Whereas, if you placed a Herald right now, Zodiac or Dragons would have to go and respond to it right now. Is teleport coming through from Texas? No teleport there on the side of Sea Dragon. Teamfight's going to start up right now. Olichi is going to be the first to drop right here. Dragons picking up that one. And UHD has been forced out of here. Chopper's going to go down. Sam Houston, what else can they get? Dark Shadow forced to jump out right there. Dre going to go in right behind Puppy Cat. Or no, sorry, not going to be able to. The Super Mega Death Rocket going to miss random. Puppy Cat seeing if they can look over the wall to find something else, though. Great team fight by Sam Houston. Great pick onto the UHD support. Again, just holdover from some of the plays that were made. Again, the Herald play costing them what might have been an easier or at least free Dragon beside UHD, and that's going to be a team fight going the way of Sam Houston. And yes, they are down a little bit of gold, but that Dragon's going to feel very nice in your back pocket. It's an Infernal. And it's that Cloud, it is the Cloud Drake right now, so a little bit of extra movement speed right there. Ambo just eating those rockets. The Jinx Gem is obnoxious, the AoE. So far, no response here for UHD to try and do something about this bot lane, as it is going to be the bullet time forced out there by Ambo to clear the wave. Not sure that he needed to blow the ultimate there. I think likely could have just cleared it with autos and used E. But just decided that they want to clear the minion wave now, not leave anything for Sam Houston to play around. And so it is going to be the full bot lane reset there for Sam Houston. They'll run on the map and likely within the next couple of minutes go ahead and knock that turret down and try and respond to the early tower take there by Sea Dragon in that top lane. Now, as much pressure as this Aatrox has had on the top lane, he's actually not tremendously far ahead. Yes, does have the completed boots and the Gourd Drinker, but this isn't, a 5-kill early Aatrox that has had, a couple of early game kills go his way. Has largely just been quietly farming, so does have a significant CS lead in that top lane. But it's nothing that you're going to be able to write home about. You're not going to be able to say, oh, we can take a team fight right now and Aatrox will wipe everybody. No, he's 0-0-0. He has a Gourd Drinker, but that's not going to be something that's just going to completely destroy this Sam Houston team, especially given some of the items that are already coming online for them. So Texas A will be a little bit behind the curve. We'll need a couple more minion waves, likely 2 with a cannon, to complete that item and become relevant. Opted to finish the boots and the Bramble Vest first. Is Dark Shadow going to be donated generously that blue buff? That always feels good in mid lane. And now you can start chunking out spells just a little bit more often, a little bit faster. Is speaking of chunking out spells, decides he wants to jump in on Puppy Cat now. Chain was not completed there. Puppy Cat forced to flash out or might have dropped. Dark Shadow had access to the Ignite there. Oh, as he jumps back in, just going to get ignited up and fleed up. Flash out. Puppy Cat, who's going to take first? Dark Shadow going to eat the turret, and he drops. Puppy Cat going to pick that one up as a solo kill in the mid lane. And meanwhile, in bot lane, Sam Houston trying to get something kicked off there. As the UHD bot laners forced off. Texas A going to break the chains there. They'll likely just try and retreat underneath this tower, collect this minion wave. Random, can he get anything? No, not going to be able to use the ultimate to try and knock down both of those members of the Sam Houston squad in the mid lane, but just wasn't able to find anything. So, again, this is what we talked about. The patience of this Sam Houston team, not willing to overforce anything, and Dark Shadow trying to jump in where he didn't need to, just generously donates that blue buff over to Puppy Cat, who now won't need one from his jungler now, so going to feel pretty good. Sorry, her jungler, my apologies. And Sam Houston, I'm going to be feeling too bad about this one. It is going to be the second Herald taken here for UHD. No attempt to contest this from the side of Sam Houston, but I think you're fine with this trade if you're Sam Houston. I don't think you're particularly in a hurry to contest that. I don't think you're necessarily concerned about the way that UHD is going to use that one. It's likely just going to be a pressure play to try and use it to knock down a turret and get some more agency around the map, because if you do knock down that mid lane turret, you can start to roam LeBlanc a little bit more into the jungle. Dark Shadow going to get rooted up there with the Everfrost, trying to find something right here. Now, Texas A is there. Dark Shadow forced to get out. Cleaver going to land into the back of Random. Texas A just walking forward, not afraid of anybody. Only has the Bramble Vest, though, so not going to be safe from Dark Shadow. And just trying to harass the Sam Houston members. So, going to be something else I think to kind of focus on, too, is the decision-making processes that both these teams want to make. Oh, hold on, Dre here, not going to find anything. Just wants to show Dark Shadow that he's there and allow Puppycat to continue to farm out that wave in the mid lane. But I think what's going to be pivotal for both these teams is the decision-making process that they have in terms of going in and out of these dives. You know, if you're looking at Dark Shadow, right, LeBlanc is a champion that plays to poke and harass other members of the Sam Houston squad, coming over walls, being really untargetable, untrackable, and very difficult to lock down. But, you know, if you do sort of distort over the wall into 3 people and they do manage to land enough damage to blow you up, you know, it's difficult to then look for another team fight as this UHD squad, because you are relying on this LeBlanc getting multiple members low just like that in some of those small trades. So that's what you're looking for, UHD. Just jump in and out, do a little bit of damage, get somebody's health bars low, look for some of these squishier members of this Sam Houston squad and force them to either commit to a team fight that they can't win because, well, their health bars are low, or force them to back off of neutral objectives. And it's going to be that Herald play in the mid lane, so just like we expected there, that Herald going to crash, going to go ahead and pick up that mid tower, and correct play there for this UHD squad. Lyros paused just there for a moment, was wrapped up. That turret going to go down in the mid lane. Multiple members of Sam Houston respond to that one, and it is going to be the drag start here for UHD. Aatrox making his way in. Sam Houston, though, don't look like they want to let this one go. Drag's going to reset. Low health bars on some of these members. Sam Houston, what can they find? Exhaust is going to go down. It's a team fight. Bullet time over a mini, and it's going to be one dropping down. Puppycat's going to be the first to fall. Zodiac trades back. What else can he get? As it's multiple members for Sam Houston down. They're not going to be able to get anything, though. UHD runs Sam Houston over in that team fight, and they're going to pick up the Dragon for the double kill for Dark Shadow. And it looked like just there for a moment, it looked like Onichi had been caught out disastrously, but managed to survive for so long in the middle of that team fight. And most importantly, that misfortune on the backline was not touched. No one was able to get on top of Abo. And so just had all the time in the world to throw that bullet time over the entire Sam Houston squad. And she may not be anywhere towards the late game build, but you stand in that misfortune ult for more than a couple of seconds, you're going to start to feel really bad. It is going to be the shutdown there for Zodiac as a consolation prize. Wait a minute, Sam Houston, they're not done with this. Oh no, wait, the health bar's going low. Sam Houston gets in, it's a shutdown on the block. The drag, they haven't got it, the Baron's still up. They're all going to fall. Sam Houston, respond, it's a double kill for Texas A. And Sam Houston runs straight back onto the map. They had the health bars and the respawn timers to contest for it. It's a disaster for UHD, who thought they had a free Baron, but Sam Houston said, hold on, wait a minute. A tremendous play there made by Zodiac. It started off just knocking down the one member there, the low health bars, and then seeing how much health was still on the Baron because it wasn't going fast. Sam Houston realized that they had time to run out with a teleport onto Texas A in that bush, and they're not done yet. Puppycat going to jump in. Only Chi is going to pick that one up in terms of getting a death. So add that to the scoreline. Sam Houston going to knock down this mid turret as well. They got the top turret just a couple of seconds ago, and now Sam Houston well in the driver's seat now. About a 3,000 gold lead. Dark Shadow trying to jump over. Not going to be able to do anything there, though. The pillar going to come down, and now Baron empowered minions here for Sam Houston, so they're just going to slowly siege this. Texas A not even remotely worried about Dark Shadow following him over that wall. And you have to think that the backs for Sam Houston are going to feel so good when they come back out onto the map, as that's going to be the Thorn Mail completed there for Texas A. That's going to be a Phantom Dancer completed there for Zodiac, who is going to love that. Has a pickaxe, has the BF sword. Likely just going to be, I think, an Infinity Edge pickup there. Oh, and UHD, it looked so good. It looked like the opportunity, and it was the right play. If you're UHD, you're thinking, okay, we have great health bars. The times, like, Sam Houston has to reset. The timers are on our side. Like, we can go take this, but the time at which it took them to take that Baron actually stalled it out longer. They actually didn't have really anybody to healthily tank that Baron damage, and so just throwing that Super Mega Death Rocket out by Zodiac to land on top of it, catching out one member there, realizing that the Baron still had plenty of health, was still at about 4,000 health, still able to contest for it, just ran out there, and I mean, great decision making. This is what we were talking about in that lobby. This is what we said about Sam Houston. They know when they need to press the go button, when they need to pull the trigger and make something happen. And that Baron, that was absolutely the right time to make something happen. They weren't afraid at all And again, the respawn timers, I think also UHD just underestimating how fast Sam Houston actually could get back out onto the map. You know, yes, you did just wipe them in the team fight, but ultimately speaking, Sam Houston's still going to come out a lot healthier. So, great response play from Sam Houston. And now, this game is well and truly within their hands. It's going to be another minute and 30 seconds until the next Dragon. So they can put UHD on Soul Point and force them to respond to that, as Baron going to be timing out here very shortly. And for Sam Houston, I think decent pickups across the map as well. You did get 2 turrets out of it. You're going to continue to deny some of this farm from multiple members here. As there's going to be the Shirelius pop there just to get Zodiac out of a potentially sticky situation. Don't want to risk anybody getting caught right now. That gold lead has sort of fizzled out now, though, to just less than 2,000, though. So Sam Houston don't necessarily have money bags with which they can just start whacking the UHD players over with. And obviously, UHD not out of this game by any stretch of the imagination. Was just one bad team fight. But one hell of a bad team fight to give over. And a couple of the kills. I think if you're Sam Houston, you would have liked to have seen all those kills go on to Jinx. But, I mean, the kills going over to Texas A, not necessarily the worst either. Especially since he is going to be your main frontline there on that Mundo. Sam Houston just going to go ahead and reset here. I think a little bit of a late reset here on this Dragon, but given that UHD is not here to contest for vision, I don't think it's too problematic here. Normally, you want to try and be setting up around Baron at the 50 to 40 second mark. Or sorry, Dragon at the 50 to 40 second mark. As Sea Dragon may be caught out here. Blows the flash early, pops the ultimate to get the movement speed and get out through the minions. But Sam Houston just going to kite this out. No follow-up here, so this Aatrox ulti is going to time out now. And that's a huge team fight tool now that's down for UHD as this Dragon is coming up. Sam Houston going to go ahead and shove this wave out and then make their way in towards this river. They don't even necessarily need to get the Dragon itself. They just need to find a good team fight here, but it is going down very, very quickly, so they're going to pick that one up. But UHD, can they get out of this one? Shirelius pops Sam Houston. They want to try and fight. Nothing just yet. Texas A trying to get on top of multiple members. UHD not willing to fight. This ultimate's going to come out from Onichi. Bullet time goes wide. Only gets onto one. Puppy Cat on the back line, but Drake X is the first to fall. Sea Dragon, can he manage to get something though? Low health bars. Puppy Cat chased out. And UHD, they managed to find a good team fight there. Double kill for Zodiac, who's still alive there. Still pinking down. Lyros likely going to fall here. Onichi going to pick that one up. But he's been left in the back line with Zodiac, who picks that one up at 16 and 12. So it's a quadra kill for the Sam Houston ADC, and a 4 for 4 in the end. The only ones left alive, the ADCs. And Sam Houston, they didn't win out on the drag there, but they take another winning team fight, but still neutral gold state, though. I think if UHD, I think you're okay with that play, ultimately speaking. Yes, you do give over 4 kills in a team fight that you were trying to avoid. You could have likely just peeled it out and made your way out just after getting the Dragon. But was forced to fight for it. That Shirelius giving Texas A the ability to run down some of those members. And so I think ultimately UHD actually forced a turn. It was a good potential engage there from Onichi, who was trying to land the ultimate there, and then bullet time from Anbo. But multiple flashes there from the Sam Houston members kept them relatively healthy and bought just enough time for Zodiac to start hitting down on some of those lower health members of that UHD squad in that team fight. And ultimately, that fight getting split in the end. Zodiac ended up going more towards that mid lane, trying to chase down some of those members. But Sam Houston, though, definitely favored towards the late game comp with that Jinx. So the longer the game goes, the better you're going to feel there, as we're starting to see some of these components now come out for this late game Jinx. 3 items so far. Baron has spawned. Is this going to be another fight that Sam Houston going to look to force? Onichi just going to barely miss out on the ultimate there from Puppy Cat, who's trying to find something there. And Shirelius going to get popped there. Not sure what Sam Houston are looking for here. Not a team fight that they can take right now. Yes, they do have all 5 members, but nothing to fight for. Still, though, Lyra's Tome is holding on to that ultimate right there. Sam Houston, they don't need to force this, right? You can't continue to just sit back and let your Jinx become strong. You can't just sit back and let Zodiac get a couple more items. Really finish this 4th item here. But, I mean, the sky's the limit in terms of how they want to team fight this. So if they choose to allow UHD to start this up, there are not really any tanky members there for that UHD squad that can sit there and absorb it. And if you kind of get yourself trapped in this Baron pit with Sam Houston shooting you in the back with the Jinx, with the Vex, it's a bad situation all around. You don't want to find yourself in. So it feels like UHD, they really want Sam Houston to start this up so that they can be the ones to collapse on it, because it does feel like if UHD starts it up, it's just going to be a free Baron and a free team fight going away of Sam Houston. I mean, relatively speaking, you can sacrifice every member of this Sam Houston squad to force the UHD team to just be stuck in the Baron pit and just let Zodiac free hit. So you prevent them from even getting out. It's just a team fight win there. Lucky going to be looking for that. As a little skirmish going on in the mid lane. Not a large commitment there. Health bar dropping for Dre, who was almost one shot. Ladies and gentlemen, that is a 2.5. It's 2.5 because it's not a full item. 2.5 item LeBlanc. And that teleport coming out again. Do they want to try and do this again? GGLeagues has to reset, though. So Sam Houston a little bit early on this one. Ultimate going to come out from Onichi. Sam Houston, what are they going to be able to get, though? Lyros going to die right now. Texas A absorbing as much punishment as they can. Puppy Cat trying to get on. Is going to drop the top laner. Bullet time going out. Zodiac not able to get out. That's the ADC down for Sam Houston. And that was the go button that UHD need. And now they should be safe to take this Baron. They shouldn't just be a repeat of what happened last time. No Jinx, but Sam Houston, they don't want to give this up. They are not willing to let this go. They are still going to fight for this. That was random. Is going to get ulted up. Is going to be fleeing. That's one down. The jungler down, though. GGLeagues, what else can he get? It's going to be a double kill for Anbo in the end, but this should be the Baron stop. Puppy Cat just trying to kite out, trying to buy time. Isn't going to be able to trade in the end, but Sam Houston, they did stall the Baron, so now UHD not going to be able to take it. Fantastic response there from that Sam Houston squad, but a split team fight, and most importantly, able to get on top of Zodiac, who was caught at that bullet time, just had nowhere to go, stuck between a rock and a cannon. So UHD going to have to try and set more of those up there after that, though. Zodiac, though, is going to have access to that flash in this next team fight, though, so it is going to be a lot harder to lock him down. We'll be able to use that to reposition or deny some of the engage there from this UHD squad. But LeBlanc going to be sitting pretty happy now, though. Does have that completed Void Staff, so the squishy annihilating threat there on the side of UHD going to become even more scary for UHD, right? Because LeBlanc popping over a wall, hitting Zodiac, just in one rotation of the abilities, is likely just going to die. Even with Lyra sitting next to him, popping that Shirelias, it's just not going to be enough to save him from there. The damage that LeBlanc does to these single target threats is just tremendous. Red team, sorry, UHD going to be able to pick that one up. Not able to get it stolen. Dark Shadow over the wall, dealing damage to 2. Dre, Dark Shadow over the wall again. Zodiac autoing him up, and this may be another team fight here. It's a little split right there, though. No full commitment. Dragon's going to fall. No ultimate was available for him. Texas A jumps in, but there's no follow-up. It's a double kill, and now UHD, they're going to turn. They're going to try and find Sam Houston. They're going to try and run him down. They only get 2, so they're just going to run towards this mid lane and pinging onto the Baron, but Zodiac is still up. No flash, though. It's Sam Houston. This dance back and forth over and over and over again. UHD feeling like they need to commit to this Baron play. A little bit of healing coming out there from them, though. Sam Houston, do they want to try and contest this? No, not making their way in, so it is just going to be the give up there from Sam Houston in terms of that objective. They're not going to look to contest that one, just going to continue to lick their wounds and wait. Full reset there. This is about a 3K gold lead now for this UHD squad, and some of the strengths that we talked about for their team comp in this late game are really starting to show themselves, especially without LeBlanc. I think in the hyper late game, you do have to favor the Vex just because of the AoE damage, but right now, for their money, UHD getting tremendous amount of value out of this LeBlanc, and Sam Houston just don't have any answers to lock LeBlanc down. You don't, again, have that reliable point-and-click CC where you can just hold her in place and then burst her down or potentially eliminate her to win some of these team fights. And again, we talked about ease of execution and relative overall skill in executing on these comps, and Sam Houston now and going to continue to struggle in this one as long as LeBlanc is left unchecked. And Dark Shadow's not been forced to blow any major summoners defensively in a while. Hasn't been forced to flash to get away from any of the damage that Sam Houston's putting out because he's just able to get in and out of that back line. And so this UHD squad doesn't have to worry about playing front to back. They can just look to pick specific members of the Sam Houston squad and win team fights that way because, you know, outside of Zodiac and Puppy Cat, you don't have any damage on the Sam Houston squad. You don't have an Aatrox. You know, you don't have that reliable sort of bruisery damage that comes out from, you know, a champion like that. So, again, for UHD, as long as they can continue to knock Zodiac down, it just does feel like they're going to be able to win these team fights over and over again. As Random is trying to run underneath the turret. It's just going to set up Dre to be killed, though. Dark Shadow not afraid of anybody, including all of the members combined of the Sam Houston squad. He's just going to jump back. Lyros taking half health damage just off of one chain from Dark Shadow. And this is going to be the base broken for Sam Houston. First inhibitor is going to fall. Gonna look to rotate over to that second one. Sam Houston, can they defend their base? Drake Inks down for the next 25 seconds. Baron empowered minions for another 2.5 minutes. And that tower is gonna fall, so there's just gonna be one more inhibitor going down. Lyro's gonna get caught up there, though, slowed by the pillar, and is gonna be knocked into the passive, so that is gonna be one falling there for Sam Houston. Drake Ink's still not up there, so this may just be the last push that this UHD team needs to win this game. Double waves there, but no. Going to play it safe, going to back off, going to reset. Dragon is respawning in 1 minute and 40 seconds. Can look to just force Sam Houston to fight them at that Dragon Soul. It is going to give Sam Houston a temporary moment to breathe. Of course, I'm not sure how much breathing they're actually going to be doing because double waves of super minions are going to be running into their base. That's going to be suffocating them, forcing them to play back and respond to it. No teleport for any of the members of this UHD squad, so not necessarily worried about being backdoored, but, you know, if you do leave a wave unattended, if it gets stacked up and you lose track of Dark Shadow or lose track of Sea Dragon, and they run into that base, that, you know, the remaining structures of the Sam Houston base are going to fall really, really quickly. To Sam Houston now, they are very much playing this game on a knife edge right now. One more mistake, and it's likely just going to be the end for them, as Sam Houston hovering around this dragon, but it's not up for another 50 seconds. They have to respond to this top lane play. There are 3 here for the side of UHD. Nobody is making their way. Sam Houston, they're just waiting for this dragon. This is not the play. The structure's going to fall right now. There are Baron-empowered minions with a super minion working its way in the bot lane. Sam Houston, they've waited too long. They're going to be forced to give up the dragon and forced to give up their base. And a horrendous call there. What are they doing? Sam Houston, it's too late. You're trying to respond to this now, but UHD, they've already taken the remainder of your base. You only have 2 towers left, and you didn't even get the dragon. Yes, Drake Inks is there, but they don't need to take it because UHD, they can just look to take it now. Zodiac's gonna fall, ignited there by Dark Shadow. And this little Blanc, the absolute menace, the ultimate from Lyro's going to buy just a brief second, but it's not going to be enough unless only Cheese can fall. But it's bullet time going to be over the top there. Puppy Cat's going to fall. Embo's going to go legendary. Texas A likely going to drop here right now. And UHD, they're putting the final nail in the coffin in this game. As Drake Inks just holding on for a minute more. He's going to drop all 5 from Sam Houston drop. And UHD, they're going to win the first game and advance to 1-0 in this series.